What's something you want people to know about being young in Greenland?
We don't live in igloos.
It's not like in Europe where you can take a train from the UK to Paris. We're an island and we're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
There's a lot of misinformation, misconception of Greenland. Beyond the stories that we hear, climate change, suicide rates, alcoholism, all that, and they disregard the majority of Greenland.
In my teenage years, I first got the idea of leaving Greenland because I was living in a very isolated place. There was this pressure to get an education, really excel in life, and you could only do that by leaving Greenland.
Over 2,000 kilometers northwest of mainland Europe lies the largest island on the planet, Galathlitnunat. The rest of the world knows it as Greenland. Reports on the mysterious land rarely stretch beyond its glaciers or wildlife, but its very name means the place with the people. Of the 58,000 people in Greenland, young adults are the biggest population today and the most unique. Not just because they call the icy terrain home, but also because of the crossroads they face in their teens: leave home for Europe or stay put. From the perspectives of 3 young Greenlanders, we discover what this decision means to their generation. What does Europe represent for young people today and their futures?
To other people, Galtasaw, it's just an airport. They almost don't even think that people live here, or maybe haven't even had a real thought about Galtasaw. There are only 400 or 500 people here, but it has a lot of meaning.
Atina attends gymnasium, or residential high school, in Sissimut, a settlement 130 kilometers away from home. For her half-term break, she's home in Kangerlussuaq, visiting her family and weighing the options of pursuing her passion in music or going to university after graduation.
Growing up in Galtasaw I think it was great. I really liked being here because we weren't so many kids at the school, and there was more opportunity to get to know each other on a way deeper level. We would mostly play outside. We had to hang out at a bus, old American bus. We would also explore. So even though it's a small town, it's a very big place. It was like being on an adventure.
I love living in Nuuk. There's also always something going on and stuff you can do. I think sometimes people on the coast feel overlooked compared to Nuuk because there's so many people and it's much more a big city.
Nuuk is the capital of Greenland and the largest city in the country. Lawa moved here a few years ago after studying in Denmark. Today, they're finishing their master's degree, working at a children's rights organization, and are fervently involved in Greenland's music and cultural scenes. Lawa feels confident about having a future in Greenland, but like many young people, it feels pretty entwined with being the future of Greenland.
Okay, so personally, yes. I have had a feeling since I was starting school that the adults are all the time I've heard so many times, you're the future of our country, you as a generation. So study hard. Okay, but pressure, anxiety.
In elementary school, my teachers would tell me, go get an education and then come back, because we need more educated people in Greenland and stuff. And that's true, but for me, it was more like a pressure. You have to have a bright future because you are the future of Greenland.
There's some things that you can study here, there's some things you can't study here, and then the obvious choice would be, okay, then you go to Denmark because you can study for free in Denmark because we're Greenlandic, but we're Danish citizens, and that whole thing.
Here's what Laura is referring to. In the early 1700s, Danish-Norwegian missionary settlers like Hans Eel colonized Greenland to capitalize on the land's natural resources. In pursuit of a so-called civilizing mission, they forced Greenlanders to convert to Christianity and suppressed their language and traditions. Between 1814 and 1953, the Danish government controlled Greenland as its colony. Throughout the 1960s, Denmark continued its efforts to modernize the island and industrialize the fishing industry, causing rapid urbanization and forcing families to relocate or separate. Greenland took its first step towards autonomy in 1979 through a referendum vote called the Home Rule Act, and shortly after voted to leave the EU. In 2009, Greenland expanded its self-governance and also made Greenlandic the official national language. Today, Greenland is a self-autonomous region within the Kingdom of Denmark. The laws passed in 2009 recognize Greenlanders as their own people, but because Greenland has not yet gained complete independence, Greenlanders are officially Danish citizens.
So what do you say when people are like, but it's a part of Denmark, so it's European?
People say that a lot. Greenland is a part of Denmark. It's not. It's colonized by a European country. It has ties to Europe, but it's not Europe.
I don't like that relationship, that they have the upper hand. It makes me feel like we're just like an object.
Denmark's colonial legacy makes for younger generations complicated feelings around identity. Language is a big part of this. Kalaallisut is the official language of the country, but Danish is still widely used.
A lot of people have presumptions about you because of how you look. If you're European looking, if you're Danish looking, you feel like you have to make up for the way you look by speaking the language. I mean, that's at least how I feel. I mean, like, if I'm in the supermarket and I'm standing in line, the cashier is gonna speak Greenlandic to the people in front of me, and then when it comes to me, they're gonna like switch to Danish, and it can be kind of like a punch in the gut, like they think I'm a tourist or something.
On the flip side of navigating identity in Greenland, adjusting to European society poses challenges of its own. While studying in Denmark is normalized, the experience can also be fraught with culture shock and racism.
I was 16 when I first saw a tree. So that was wild, And the air was weird, heavy, and wet, and just uncomfortable.
Farri lives in Qaqortoq, South Greenland, with his girlfriend. After several stints at Danish universities over the past 4 years, Farri is relieved to be home. He hopes to be accepted into the first ever natural sciences course to be offered in Greenland. Until he can apply next year, he's working as a substitute teacher and enjoying starting projects for young people in the community.
I grew up in Bamboo. I didn't start school till third grade. First, second, and third, I didn't go to school because I was supposed to be a hunter. That's where my grandparents were. But my mom, she wanted me to go to school. So we went from Bamboo to Nuuk. When I was in Nuuk, I had a whole community of friends, family, and all that. I think I went like 8th or 9th grade. She talked about, you should go to boarding school. It would be good for your grades, it would be good for you, and yeah. They mostly talk about how great it is.
I left Greenland in 2017. Whenever I met up with other Greenlandic students, they would talk about microaggressions they had experienced or racist comments and stuff like that. I think I was lucky. I think the types of people that choose to study anthropology are maybe a bit more open to differences in the world. But then when I met people studying other things, then sometimes I would get a bit of that.
The first week, someone threw a swastika at my door, and then the words Eskimo Paga, which is like Eskimo N-word. So that happened. And small comments, small little comments. That happens a lot too.
Fari didn't receive any support from his school, and there were no consequences for racist behavior. To put an end to it, he got himself expelled and transferred to a different boarding school. Fari didn't feel like he had a choice then or when it came time to apply for university. The degree he was interested in was not yet offered in Greenland, meaning his only option was to attend university in Denmark, where he again endured discrimination and difficulty acclimating. Now that Ilisimatusarfik will offer biology studies, he's finally able to choose to stay and pursue his dreams in Greenland.
I love it here because firstly it's my home and I feel home here because my whole community is my circle of friends, circle of family, all of it is here. It's in the right place between not developed and developed, so it's like you yourself can do things about it, so that feels good.
Choosing to stay in Greenland or come back doesn't mean succumbing to generational pressure or committing to develop the country. It can also be an empowered choice to evolve as a young adult. What makes this generation unique goes beyond the options laid out before them to what they make of those choices and the ones they create for themselves in Greenland.
It isn't like I'm staying or I'm leaving. It's in between thing, for me at least. I think it's great that I was born in this time. A lot of young people want to make a change. For myself, I want to create music to, inspire my peers. I have so much to say and stuff that I think people my age can relate to. Whatever makes sense to me when I'm done with high school, gymnasium, is what I'm gonna do.
It's easy in Greenland to have influence. Power distance, like the distance between me as an ordinary person and the people that are in charge of the country, it's not that big. Politicians are accessible. They're more accessible here, I think, compared to Europe, for instance. I'm here because why not? I think Greenland holds a lot of opportunities if you want to catch them.